you wouldn't be on the radio. You would be at the track
Ah, I
betting on
gotcha.
horses, wouldn't you?
If you win and win and win in Vegas, do they just make you leave?
I don't know if they make you leave, but they certainly start to investigate you.
They watch you so
Yeah, they
closely,
certainly start to wonder how is this guy doing it
because they
because
know
there
it's
is a belief that nobody is lucky.
they know that it's not supposed to. That luck has no part in the game whatsoever. That's just for
Right.
you to. That's just for you to believe when you sit down at the table.
That it's just odds. That's all it is. Is
If
that
my luck works, I'm going to be in business here. No, not the way we set those machines. I'm sorry, your luck isn't going to work in this town.
yeah? And so the first step is the pit bosses will take your photograph and run it through
The
they have
database.
a file, a database of known cheaters and people like that. Um, and then from there, if they can't pick up that you're doing anything, uh, it's happened in rare cases. They can say enough is enough, and they can ban you from a casino.
And they can stop the game anytime they want. That's the rule.
Yeah, I mean, they can change dealers when they want. They can stop the game whenever they want. I mean, they hold the ultimate power. And there's some school of thought that when somebody is there winning and it's public, it's good for them
Oh yeah, everybody thinks they can win.
because everybody thinks, especially when Joe Schmo from Texas is out there, they just don't want to get beat by the known, um, card sharks and manipulators and all of that kind of stuff that's out there. Those are the people they look for. If you go out there and you happen to be lucky enough to get two brand new Chevrolets in a row. Uh, they don't. They as long as you're okay with them putting your picture in the paper, they're okay with you winning it.
And if you're at a machine and the one right down the row starts piling money onto the floor, that's good for business.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't do it too much. But listen, these places make so much money that they just mark that up to advertising. And they got to let the machines win once in a while because they want to show that the old lady who lives in the rest home up the road came down and won $100,000. And
In
the
quarters.
guy from who flew out with his family from Omaha to spend a long weekend in Vegas, that he came to Vegas and he won. And they want that to be in the Omaha paper so more people will see it and come out.
Come on down. You can be as good as Billy Bob. All he did was
Yeah.
put a quarter in the machine. That's
Look,
all he did.
look at Billy Bob from your town.
He doesn't
He
know
did it.
anything more. He doesn't know anything more about gambling than you do. But look what luck can do for a man.
But Billy Bob is leaving here with a brand new '67 Eldorado. And we're even going to pay the taxes on it for him.
And Benjamin Bugsy, he left with less than that. I don't know what he had in his pocket, but he didn't get to keep it.
Well, he didn't get to keep it. Whatever he had in his pocket, you can bet that the L.A. cops took it when they investigated his murder. Benjamin Siegel, items found $2.72.
Less than $5,000 we took out of his pocket.
Yeah, they made sure that they peeled off.
Well,
So my complaint
they rationalized it. They say it wasn't his money anyway. So what's he going to do with it?
That's
Now, what did you ask me? I'm sorry.
I said, how are things in Pasadena?
Pasadena is sunny and mid 60s. It's too cold for us to go out of the house, so we're sheltering in place. The real situation that we're facing now is birthdays. Kennedy Quinn, our oldest grandchild, is just turned 8. Her big party is Saturday, but we're going to go over there Thursday for our own private party. Then Kailania Luna Musha Night Musha is having her birthday on December 16th. So we got a birthday and then a birthday and then Christmas. So the quickening is upon us, Vinny.
It's the season.
Nothing we can
It's
do about it. I thought we could linger over Thanksgiving dinner, but no.
no,
Everybody up and out.
no. My stepmom's birthday is coming up here pretty quick. I think it's on the 13th of December, and she is going to be turning 80. So we're still being a little lazy on this one.
So
Nobody is quite figured out. We want to do something, but we don't quite know what it is yet.
it's a little party. She's not going to be.
Yeah, I mean, we're just gonna have a little something. We'll probably go and I mean, I have to fly back anyway, so I'm trying to recraft my trip to go back. Um,
Because
be there
flying this time of the year is so much fun.
and then come back and be back here for Christmas.
So your birthday is for 80 years. My birthday's for 8. Not quite the same thing, but using the same numbers.
Well, there's been a few things that have gone on between the two, but you know, I mean, boy, and somebody 80 years old, man. I mean, they've seen some stuff in their life, haven't they?
Pick any 80 years, you will have seen quite a few things.
Yeah, but I don't know if you went from, let's say, 1765 to 1840, something like that, right?
Well, it depends
1850.
what kind. If you were in this country, you saw quite a bit of a war.
You've seen a couple of wars, actually. You saw the Revolutionary War, and you seen the War of 1812, and then you saw the Civil War.
And the French Indian War, of course, no one remembers who was fighting anybody. Were the French really involved? Were they fighting the Indians? Were they fighting with the Indians? Did they
They
ever
didn't
show up?
advertise that war.
Because they were supposed to be here, and I checked, and I can't find the figures to see if they really showed up.
I don't know anybody who participated in that war.
That was a war over the Indian motorcycle. They were gonna. Had they won that war, there would never have been a Harley Davidson. Everybody'd be driving an Indian.
Everybody be driving an Indian. And Indians are cool bikes. Not that I'm saying anything against Harley Davidsons. Don't get me wrong, but an Indian is a bike that's it became, I don't know if it is anymore, but for a while there it was a real status symbol to have an Indian.
Because you couldn't get one. You had to have a collector's item, right?
Yeah, and then they started making them again. Um, but and then there was, but they were, quick bikes. Then there was the movie that came out in the, what was it, the 80s, I guess, the World's Fastest Indian.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, with Anthony Hopkins played the Burt Munro was his name. He was from Australia or New Zealand, I forget. One of those places that talk funny. And
Australians are funnier, but New Zealanders are faster.
yeah, and he had he bought this bike, and he'd been working on it for years and years and years, and he wanted to set the land speed record at Bonneville. And so he packed up his bike, put it in a shipping crate, and
Send
came
it to
over to
Utah.
Bonneville.
Nobody does that anymore from New Zealand. Put your motorcycle in a crate and ship it to Utah.
Oh, I think people still do it. Yeah, I don't know if they do it from New Zealand, but yeah, I think people still do that. They have that speed week every year. I was there a few years ago. Matter of fact, we did a show. Well, I did the show from there. You were in Pasadena, but I did the show from.
I sat right here and watched you do the show.
Yeah, it was that white stuff all in the background. That was salt, not snow.
Now, was
Pretty
it
impressive
salt?
place.
Was it salt or was it salt?
It was salt, um, but it was pretty impressive.
That's a great answer. Did it make
And,
you want to go fast? Did it just make you with like 60 miles an hour is a ridiculous thing to be doing right now? Let's go faster.
um, well, I mean, I took a regular old. Well, where did I go there? One time I had a Toyota Avalon, and I got that up to 125, 130 miles an hour out there.
And how stable did it feel?
Oh, like you were. Well, there's nothing around you. I mean, you just don't. You don't. You just feel like you're on a no potholes, no nothing. It's just one big piece of salt.
How does it stay flat enough to let you go that fast?
They groomed the track part of it. I mean, they have there's a car club that it's their domain, I guess. So, and they get some help from the state, or the actually the feds, because it's an actual national park. I think it's
It's a
in.
national park?
I think it is a national park.
I
I think
didn't realize that.
or national monument. Might be a national monument instead of a park. It might be like a state park and a national monument, but there's definitely a sign there that says Bonneville Salt Flats, and maybe it is.
Just proceed at your own risk.
Well, yeah, you have to, because there's people going every which way.
Don't we
Uh,
we've got to
there's a
have more organization than that, surely.
there's a regular track there that people use, a course that's been laid out that people use as the race course. And during speed week, that's all blocked off and groomed. But at other times of the year, you can just pull off the interstate into the rest stop, go over a little curb that's been kind of cut out, and go on the salt flats and just drive to your heart's content.
Hold on. Are you talking about a frontage road?
No, this actually is no frontage road there. You go from the rest stop, the Freeway West rest stop outside of Wendover, and you pull into the rest stop, and there's like a little area where the it's sunk down, and you could just drive out of the rest stop and onto the salt flats.
Wow.
There's no
But that's a
frontage road.
perfect it's a perfect spot for a frontage road, like a
Well, they
high-speed
have
frontage
one
road.
down each end of the salt flats. They have one in Wendover that has a little frontage road on it, and an Indian restaurant, and then
You mean Indian as in India?
like is in India, yeah, like is paneer and
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some of the names of the dishes, and it's just escaping me right now. But basmati rice and all that. Yeah, no, it's a
Oh,
you know
yeah.
well, surprising number of truck drivers are Indian from
I like
India.
Indian food. Remember once we sat in an Indian restaurant in Mill Valley, California, and the guy said, "Try to guess this language." Of course, it's an Indian restaurant, so it was pretty much a giveaway. And he
Yeah, but
counted
they
to
have like
10.
5 languages, don't they?
He counted to 10, and I said, "That's Hindi." And he said, "Oh, how did you know?" And I said, "Well, it was an Indian restaurant. It was a giveaway. What do I win?"
See, I think they have though. I think they speak like 5 different. I mean, there's Hindi, I guess, is the big one, but I think there's 4 other fairly large. I
I'm
mean,
sure
when
they're
you have
much either.
750 million people, I guess you have a lot of.
In fact, there's more people in India now than there are in China, strangely enough. You didn't think you could get them all in there, but we did.
They figured out a way to get them in, and if you brought back all the ones that left for Jackson Heights, you'd really have something. I mean, it's amazing to me.
I like it when people that have all those languages speak two languages at once. If you've heard it, actually, it sounds ridiculous, but people speak Spanglish with
Oh yeah.
Spanish and English. People speak, I don't know, a little bit of Hebrew and a little bit of English.
Well, I grew up around when I was growing up. There was a lot of. Didn't we talk about this like last week or something? I grew up with a lot of Argentinians, and Argentinians. There's a large Italian population in Argentina, so the Spanish they speak is not straight out Spanish. It's a combination of Spanish and Italian.
Well, those two go together right quite well. You might not know where you're going from one and when you get to the other.
Yeah, I mean it's but you definitely hear the difference in somebody just speaking straight out Spanish and somebody speaking um, Italian and Spanish, or and just as if you hear somebody speaking Puerto Rican, they sound very different than somebody who is speaking Castilian Spanish or Cuban Spanish. Just like in Italy, there's different, north to south, there's different dialects.
And is it true that the people in the South either don't understand or prefer not to know what the people in the North are saying?
I think it's a combination of both. Actually, I think that there's a lot of animosity between the North and the South in Italy, and it's very easy for somebody to say, "Well, I just don't understand what you're saying."
And besides, you guys are wearing t-shirts and shorts up here in Milano. It's snowing. So, hey,
Yeah, no sace. Yeah, I don't know, no sace. That's it. You just tell them you don't know. What are
I
they
don't
going to do?
know. I don't know, and I suspect you don't know. So if we don't know, what's the point of talking about it? Let's have lunch.
And yeah, and we're among America's smartest people. So if we don't know, who's going to know?
America's smartest people. I wonder what the most educated state is. Could
Boy,
be
if I
Washington.
were to guess, my mind immediately goes to California, but I might err on the side of going back east and go with
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd probably go with Massachusetts. Number one.
They have so many universities there.
Oddly enough, Rhode Island,
Well, that's really just a county, but
because they have a lot of universities there, and it's a small population. I mean, I guess if you're going per capita by percentage of population, um, it depends on what you consider educated. I mean, I know people that are smarter that went to trade school than people I know that went to, 6 years of college or 8 years of college. They just, maybe they know technically something, but they can't figure out how to put a key in a door lock.
like that's easy. If you try to put it in when it's upside down, it won't go in. Just pointing that out to Americans who are still struggling at the front door. Turn the key around, turn it over, turn the bottom to the top, and try it that way. The key just won't go in on its own, it has to be in the right position. And they never tell you that. I mean, there's no instructions on the key, none whatsoever. You could struggle with it for days if you want, if you so choose. If you're in one of the least educated states as opposed to Massachusetts.
Okay, least educated.
Least
Least educated. Who would you think?
Mississippi.
Bingo.
The thing about Mississippi is they're dumb, they're ignorant, they're uneducated, but they don't care.
And they're proud of it.
So that's what I mean. I guess that's a form of caring. And the most educated?
Um, let me find the. This page moves slow. It must be put together by somebody from Mississippi. Yeah, Mississippi, I mean, that's a state that needs a whole lot of work, man. Mississippi and Louisiana. I don't know how they.
And Arkansas and Alabama.
Yeah, if you found somebody who would take those states from us, I mean, I would. I mean, if you have to have 50, I would give those two up and, add Cuba and Puerto Rico.
It's like CBS selling CBS to Odyssey. The Field family that used to own Intercom put their personal fortune at risk, lost it. The stock now for Odyssey, which used to be CBS, is 30 cents. It's been delisted. You got to go to a desk and ask, please, if you want to buy a 30-cent issue of one stock for Odyssey Broadcasting.
Wow.
WCBS, KCBS, KNX, WBBM, all the great call letters, all the great audiences in the major cities that call across America. WJR. Nope. They're on the air and they're all sucking wind.
I remember when that used to be, I mean, I had that stock for a while. Not Odyssey, I had the
CBS.
PBS, yeah.
That was when it was still called the Tiffany Network.
Yes.
It's not called that anymore. It's called the Field.
No, it's the Chain Company Network.
Yeah. And instead of leaving the name as CBS, all they had to do, which is a far better name than Odyssey, which sounds like you're saying Odyssey, but you're saying Odyssey, A-U-D.
Right. I always got confused with that. You had this golden name in broadcasting. It's like and you change it. It's like almost like if you have this soft drink and you say, well, Coke just doesn't resonate with people. I mean, let's change it. Let's change the formula.
Let's call it Falderall. I think that's going to be catchy. Just order a Falderall with your cheeseburger.
Okay. 7th place is Washington. 6th place is Virginia. 5th place is Connecticut. Vermont is 4.
Burlington, Vermont.
Colorado is 3. Maryland is 2.
So close to Washington.
And Massachusetts is number 1.
So we actually guessed the best and the worst, or the most and the least.
Yeah, I think Rhode Island was like 14 or something like that.
Well, Massachusetts is supposed to be a nice place to live, but of the top 5 lists, I would pick Colorado.
I mean, Massachusetts is a nice place. It gets kind of cold, but so does Colorado. I don't know. I like Massachusetts. I mean, I would probably rather live in New Hampshire or in Vermont or Maine than Massachusetts.
If you're in Burlington, Vermont, always speak English when you're walking down the street. Apparently, that's a good way to proceed if you don't want to be shot by a neighbor.
Yeah, and don't be wearing a scarf if you're a guy. Don't listen to what that Bernie Sanders tells you, because he's not going to tell you anything good. Is that bizarre? Well, it's not bizarre. They had the guy. I'm surprised nobody's brought this up. But what was the guy? Was he in New Hampshire, or was he in Vermont? But when this whole thing first started, and he shot and killed that little girl. That
was Chicago.
Oh, was it Chicago? Okay, yeah, it was Chicago. You're right. We got a lot of hateful people in this world.
They're not quite. They have plenty of hate to go around, but they're just not very good at focusing it. They are victims of their own initiative. Let's be hateful. Okay, where are we going to start? Good point. We're going to have a meeting about that. Who do we hate? Well, we hated a lot of people, but right now, let's focus ourselves. Let's concentrate on who we hate the most.
Well, that
If
trouble
we're
with
gonna,
Germans a
and
whole lot.
if we're gonna do violence, let's make sure we do violence.
I mean, the Germans couldn't figure out. They wanted to hate everybody at the same time, and they found out that that can be a problem.
Well, they manifest a number of problems because of what they wanted to do. You guys have got to stop doing what you want to do because it's not working out for the world and it's not going to work out for you.
Eh,
I offer you Dresden as an example.
Yeah, you can't hate the Polish, and the Russians at the same time. You can't hate the French
But
and the Russians.
aren't they both Slavic? That was the problem.
Well,
Wasn't it they lived in
they
Poland or
seem to
Russia?
not like anybody that didn't have blonde hair, and although I always found it interesting that not many of the people who led them around had blonde hair
No, that was
or
just their ideal.
were true Aryans.
No, it was hard to be a true Aryan if you didn't have blonde hair. It was just a difficult thing to do.
Well, they keep playing, they give them those lighter weights so they would look like they were Supermen.
Oh, I
You
didn't
know,
realize that.
they'd go to the gym and they would, they had the thing painted 100 pounds and it was only 10 pounds. And there's Hans and he's lifting that thing like it's going out of style. So, oh, you see what happens when and then they found out that those free vacations that they were advertising weren't really vacations. You had to work when you went on vacation. They just
Heinrich,
transferred you
yes,
to a
Heinrich will
different
show you
plant.
to the Heinrich will show you to the train, which runs on time. I want you to know.
Oh yeah, no, they didn't. No, that was one thing about Germany. They didn't mess around with the times of the trains. If the Führer wanted to be on the 504, that 504 was going to take off at 504. Even if they were standing there playing with the clock to move it backwards, because the last thing you wanted to do was have the Führer miss his train, but also the last thing you wanted to do is have the train run late. It was a never-ending conundrum there.
The truth of the matter is that they actually put the troop trains on a different schedule. They were always late. The trains to the front were always late. The trains with supplies were always late, just so that they could get their prisoners to the camps on time. You have to have priorities if you're going to be a fascist.
Yeah, you didn't want to miss that.
Because what you're saying is true. They hated everything. What are we going to do with all the gypsies? Send them to the camps. What are we going to do with all the French? If they're Jewish, send them to the camps. If they can cook, bring them over here. The Fuhrer wants dinner.
Yeah, funny how that worked, huh? If you could cook, you're okay. All of a sudden, everybody's a French chef.
Why don't you drink it? My imitation of
Julia.
Julia Child.
We don't have a Julia Child these days. Now, if you're a chef, you got to be
No, you got to
like,
be an angry guy who throws food and says, "You had everything. This is garbage. Start again."
yeah, you get the what's his name, Ramsey, right? Gordon Ramsay, or you get the bar rescue with the guy that's always angry, Robert. Well, there's two of them. There was the Robert guy who always now has a line of steroids available in Walmart. And then you have the newer guy, Taffer.
The same routine. He just yells at people.
Yeah, just comes in and yells at people. And he brings celebrity people with him to yell at people.
You got to have, but none of these people ever went to a culinary school. They don't know how to cook. They don't know how to run a restaurant. They haven't got financial backing. They haven't got a recipe that's going to beat the band. They don't know. They're going through the motions. They think, what are you going to do? You open a restaurant, people come in, they eat. That's it. You charge them for it. Do you know
Yeah,
how to
and
cook?
if it sucks, they don't come back.
I don't cook so much. You wouldn't call it cooking. I heat things up.
Well, you got to give people a decent meal if you're going to own a restaurant, Michael, or else you're going to fail. And then you got to give them service. I mean, it's not an easy. You got to give them a good meal, and you got to get it to them on time. Like you can't have people sitting around for a half hour waiting for a meal, unless it's the best meal they ever had in their lives. Then maybe you can get away with it.
No,
But I
food
think
was
it's
good. Took forever.
But Julia Child and that breed of chef always kind of came out, and they did their thing and they showed you, and but they didn't get nasty. They didn't throw food around. I watch these cooking shows now, and this one guy is throwing food this way, and some other guy is screaming, "You're an idiot! You'll never," and they you look and you go, "That's the show." I
Well,
mean,
the show is about people not knowing how to cook, not knowing how to serve, not knowing how to act, not knowing how to people with no training. The fascinating thing about Julia Child is at her time when she was training, she was the only woman in the French schools. There weren't any women. They didn't train women. They didn't
yeah,
entertain the idea of a woman being a chef. And Julia just walked in there and did it anyway. That was the fascinating part about it. She was classically trained, and she used her classic training to show you how easy it is or how difficult it is to part a chicken. We're going to take this chicken apart, and here's how you start.
you get the
Unless you know,
scissors.
you're probably going to go for the wings first, and that's not how it works.
No, you don't you cut it up
The
the
back,
middle first?
yeah, correct.
Yeah, that's the way I always, if I was taking apart a chicken, I always took it
And you
apart.
better have a sharp knife, which is one thing you can't find in America is a perfectly good sharp knife.
Well, I have a pair. So I mean, I don't have it with me. I have it in all my stuff. I oddly enough have a lot of cooking equipment. I actually really like to cook, and I have a pair of poultry shears, and they're specially
That'll
made
get
scissors.
that'll get your way through. Have you ever had a goose? I was just thinking the other night. I've never eaten goose.
No, I don't know if I've ever had a goose. I've had
Although
duck. I really like duck.
I like duck. I like there used to be a dish called celestial duck at Tommy's in Tiburon. It was a Chinese place.
Huh. I used to we would always get have every once in a while, probably once every couple of months, we'd go up to this Chinese restaurant up on Grand Avenue in Maspeth and get the Peking Duck Festival.
It's a festival.
It's a festival. It wasn't just a meal; it was a festival. It was like a 15-course dinner.
Whoa.
And you had to call them up the day before and tell them you were coming and how many people you were coming with. And I think you had to have a minimum of 10.
I don't think I
But
can do 15 courses, no matter how delicious it is,
it
no matter
was
how, no
it
matter how
was
wonderful it might be.
well, I mean, a course was like an egg,
True. Okay.
and then they had all these different uh ink spotted squid and so there were small court there were samplers really. I guess it was a precursor to what dim sum is now, right?
Yeah.
Dim
Right.
sum. But the big part of the meal
Dim
was the
sun is what we have in Pasadena today. The sun is dim. What are you going to do?
you do. That's what you should do. You should have a weather guy that gives out all of the weather forecasts in Chinese restaurant talk. Oh, it's gonna be mighty egg fooey out there today. But it was, I mean, and for the time it was, I mean, I forget what it used to cost, but we would go up with, you know, a bunch of people and on a Sunday night and go and kind of get baked before it. And so that
Of
by the
course.
time you got there, you were like,
You were ready. I'm not hungry.
oh no, it's quite the opposite. I'm hungry. Bring me 2 ducks and a turkey.
We'll have a duck and on top of and bring a duck with it.
Oh my god. Did you ever do that? Did you ever do that turducken thing?
No.
Where you put the turkey inside of the duck, inside of the
Goose or
turkey,
turkey,
turducken. So it's turkey, duck, chicken.
chicken. I think so.
I've never had it.
Plus, what do you do with the leftovers? Because you're going to eat one big thing, and then you got a huge 3-bird carcass waiting for you. Better have some football players around.
Well, I'm. It's supposed to be very tender, very moist. Turkey can get dry, but the
Yeah.
turducken is supposed to be like it moistens the turkey up, and you find grandma's watching there every once in a while.
Is that where it is? Was it in the turkey, the duck, or the chicken?
They don't tell you. That's for you to find. That's what you got to find out. It's like they used to have those. I don't know if they had them out here, but did you used to have when you were a kid the cakes with the little toys baked in them?
No. Based on the English idea of a sixpence and a pudding.
I guess I don't know, but they used to have birthday cakes with little toys baked into them. So you eat the birthday cake and you'd be eating it, and there'd be like a little plastic car or a little doll or something like that.
Or just a plastic blob. That was a three-wheeler when we put it in there. What the heck happened to it? Well, you baked the cake, you idiot. Now it's a blob.
We didn't realize that you couldn't put plastic toys in a cake because 450 degrees means it melts everything, not just the cake.
That was a perfectly beautiful little three-wheeler. Yeah, well, was.
Not anymore. Yeah, and then I guess some kids went and choked on one of the cakes, and next thing you know, it's all over.
They'd have to be metal, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they used to be metal, but some kid stuck it in his mouth or ate it with the cake and swallowed it, and somebody's got to come along and ruin everything.
Somebody from Mississippi. That was not somebody from Massachusetts.
Yeah, probably not.
No, I don't think so.
Although I don't know how you could be the smartest person in the world, and how would you know? You're sitting there slicing into a piece of cake, and all of a sudden, I mean, you don't expect there to be a toy in there, do you?
Well, the smartest person in the world, but you don't know it. I was so smart, but I was unaware of how smart I was, and lo and behold, I ate the ate the cake, choked on a
Yeah, I mean, I
melted
got a
three-wheeler.
248 IQ, but I couldn't figure out that there was a little pinball machine inside this piece of chocolate cake.
So smart people were the first ones to say, "Well, how was I supposed to know?" Well, you're the smartest person in the world. That would give you a hint. Not if you don't know. If you
You
don't
were
know you're that
supposed to
smart, you
figure it
don't
out.
know.
Supposed to be logical.
That would be a good Saturday Night Live routine, a recurring one. Smartest person in the world who
The
doesn't know
smartest
he's
person
smarter
in
than.
the world. Uh, yeah, except that I'm never sure that the smartest person in the world would continue to be the smartest person in the world. I mean, there's always somebody trying to knock you off, right?
Somebody smarter, or someone who thinks they're smarter, or worse than that, just someone who's been told they're smarter, but they're not.
Oh, that's the worst thing in the world.
You're
When you get the
smart,
people who think they're smart and
like
they're really not.
Fredo. I'm smart, not like they
I'm
say.
smart. I was passed over. And why?
Not like they say.
I'm not dumb like they say.
So let's go fishing in Lake Tahoe, Fredo.
Yeah, let's
Finish
go. Let's go take a ride.
finish the Hail Marys, and I'll do the rest.
After that, I would have. After that, I would have packed my bags and left. Just would have gone somewhere. Opened up a gas station somewhere.
Oh no, they'd have found you. Imagine Fredo trying to hide. No, they would have definitely found Fredo.
Yeah. Knowing Fredo, he would have opened it up on the strip.
Yeah, they'll never find me here.
Yeah.
I'll just blend in with everybody else.
I'm right here between the Riviera and the Sands. How could they possibly find me? I haven't watched The Godfather. Trying to think of which one I'm behind in.
I never saw 3.
Oh, you should see it. Actually, you know what I would like to see? I haven't seen it in a long time. Is the saga where they put all three of them together
Yeah,
in
that's nice.
chronological order. Or all two of them, I should say. Don't put three.
With some
But
extra
they should
scenes.
redo that, and it probably get confusing for some people. I don't know. Um, but it would be nice to see the whole story told in that.
Because if you're making a turducken in the kitchen, you come back out and say, "What the heck happened here? He's young again. What the hell happened? Where'd De Niro come from?"
Oh my God, Michael, Michael, my son.
I never wanted this for you.
Senator Corleone, Governor Corleone. But it wasn't in the cards.
We needed more time.
It just wasn't enough time, Michael. Just wasn't enough time. That's all right,
So,
Pop.
so sit here in the garden with me. We'll have a tomato, or you'll have one. I'm gonna follow. I'm gonna go over here
Yeah,
and fall down.
little Angelo's going to come in with the pump in a second and
Yeah.
spray me in the face with the tomato stuff. But you go ahead and you see right out there. That's where I want you to take Fredo fishing. It was
Well, Sonny was never going to inherit it, no matter what he thought.
Sonny was he, he he wanted too much action.
He talks when he should be listening.
Yeah, they they you know that there was supposed to be a Godfather 4, and I
Featuring
guess
who?
they put the kibosh on it at some
Well,
point. But I
three did
guess
not exactly turn out like they had planned.
well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. You know, 3 has its faults, but
Plus, I didn't want it to be a modern story. I wanted it to be a historical account of how the times were.
well, it still was. I mean, it was a look back into the 70s. It got him up to the 70s. That's as much as I would have wanted to see it because I mean, in effect, after the 70s, the early 80s, it all kind of fell apart anyway.
Not long after Tom's trip to Hollywood, before Vegas.
Well, no, it still was going in the 50s. I mean, it fell apart. I mean, Giuliani really is when it fell apart. You know, I mean, he just the RICO Act is kind of when it got to the point where people were saying, I don't want to get because what happened was is they all started ratting on each other.
It became fashionable.
Well, everybody wanted to save their asset. You know, once they had that RICO law, they didn't need to have a specific crime. All they needed was a conspiracy.
And the furtherance of a crime.
And, it was pretty easy for them to get evidence of that because if you go and you threaten one guy, he's going to turn on 5 other guys. And guy number 1 and guy number 2 might wind up dead, but guys 3, 4, and 5 are going to wind up in jail. And you're going to have to relocate a witness.
Yeah, why should I go to jail if I don't have to?
Or it's a lot better to go to jail. I mean, now you got guys that are, old mafia guys that are doing podcasts
About
about
how
the
it used
mafia.
about how it used to be all the bells and whistles. Here's how we did it.
Yeah, I mean, so there's not that fear anymore of people. If you open your mouth, you're gonna get whacked. You don't have that anymore, and I mean that was the secret sauce, right? That's what kept
That
you.
and the fact that everyone felt that they had a chance to advance in the Capo regime.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, people felt like they could, no matter as long as you were Italian, you had a chance to go somewhere, and you were a little nuts. You had to be nuts. It helped. Um, but if you knew how to, if you were a mover and a shaker a little bit, you could get, if you were an olive skinned guy, on Madison Avenue, you probably weren't going too many places. But if you were an olive skinned guy on Second Avenue in Brooklyn, you could go places.
But the places were limited to Jersey, Atlantic City, Vegas, and maybe the Catskills.
As long as you had money in your pocket, did you care?
How come I'm always the guy that has to go to Jersey? I've never even been so far south as Bordentown, but I'm always going over there. One to Hackensack, Hoboken, Hohokus. Why me? Union City. I don't want to go to Union City.
Oh, Hocus. Glen Rock. Uh,
Fort
but it's
Lee.
funny because those are the places. I mean, those were the places where, I mean, if you were willing to be a tough guy, you could eke yourself out a living. Um, I always tell people that most of the mafia guys that I knew, um, were much more like Lefty in in what's the Johnny Depp movie?
Johnny Briscoe.
Donnie Brasco. Yeah, that was more. Most of the guys I knew that were hooked up, that was what their life was like, much more than Tony Soprano, or that they were subservient to a number of people, and usually the people weren't as smart as they were, but they had the right juice.
Tony goes to the refrigerator. Nobody's been to the store in months. There's always a fresh bottle of juice for him to drink first thing in the morning, orange juice, and cold cuts for him to dip into, wrapped in wax paper. But nobody ever went to the deli.
Well, Carmela always went to the deli.
I guess, well, that would be the obvious answer, but we never saw her do it.
Yeah, there were some scenes where she came home and she was pulling stuff. Matter of fact, there was one scene that was really cute. I remember she was pulling stuff out of a bag, and on the side of the bag, the old Italian grocers, they didn't use adding machines. They
Ah,
wrote the numbers on the side of the bag and then added them up. Boom, 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 boom. I remember Mr. Rispoli used to do that all the time, and you would write it up, and he'd write just everything you had in the bag was on the side of the bag by the price, and then he'd add it up. Boom, boom, boom. That was what you owed.
and it was written on the side of a Carmela's bag.
And you could, yeah. And I remember watching it once, and the numbers were on the side of the bag. And I said, now that's somebody that went to an Italian deli when they were younger, because that's how they did it. You didn't use a receipt. You never have a computer there or anything like that. You had, 39 cents for Yoo-hoo, 39 cents for 29 cents for
Celery.
a bag of chips, $3 for a sandwich. Boom, 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 boom. That's it. There's your, you know.
I used to love deli food, but the one thing I could not have was a celery. So what kind of drink is this? I don't want to drink it. I don't want to taste it. Give me a ginger ale. Give me a root beer, but not a celery.
That was a soda that many Jewish people thought. I mean, that was a really popular among the Jewish people. That was a very, very popular drink.
Yes, it was.
We used to sell when I worked on a soda truck. We used to sell tons of that stuff. At the beginning of summer, we go up to the Catskills with truckloads of that stuff and drop it off. That
And
was
the ingredients were celery or a celery substitute.
celery, salt, and
Water, a little spritz.
and carbonated water. Yeah, I mean it wasn't any big mystery or secret, but people believed that it had health
Uh,
benefits.
like
People believed.
like ivermectin, the famous sheep wool.
Well,
The
but I don't
sheep.
think anybody said celery was poison. I mean, the worst that was going to happen to you is you were going to get something that didn't taste all that good. Um, but I saw people drink that stuff by putting salt on like a margarita, putting salt on the lid of the glass.
Get your sodium if you want your celery.
I was not a big. My father used to like celery. He drank that stuff. Um, but I never was a big celery guy. I loved Yoo-hoo. We talk about strange sodas. And I loved that they used to make this stuff called Jaffa Joy, and it was orange
Shut up.
soda, but the oranges came from Israel.
Oh, Jaffa, I got you.
Yeah, Jaffa. I guess it's Haifa, really, right? Uh,
Yeah, right,
but
correct.
in New York, they called it Jaffa Joy, and it was when you would get it, you would see the rind and stuff from the orange in the soda.
Shake it up.
Yeah, there was. It was truly a fruit beverage. It was, I don't know, 12% fruit juice,
12%. Let's
something
not
like
get carried away. Make it 12.
that. I think 12%. But listen, when I was a kid, that soda, um, the sodas that you got in the '60s, early '60s, all had fruit in them. Used to get Cot Orange that had orange in it. Used to get black cherry soda had cherry in it. Orange soda had orange, little bits of orange in it.
With the exception, of course, of the egg cream, which had neither egg or cream. In fact, what were the ingredients of the egg cream?
Somewhere somebody probably put an egg in there, but no, egg cream was Fox's You Bet, 2 fingers, milk, 1 finger, whole milk, not no
Don't give me
bullshit,
a, yeah, I
you
don't
know,
want a 1%.
and seltzer, and you ran the seltzer over the spoon,
So it didn't upset the rest of the ingredients.
and then you had a certain way of mixing it. You didn't do it like this. You did it like this, so you wouldn't up and down like, so that you wouldn't get too much carbonation. All you know, and then if you had a good egg cream, you had the syrup layer, and then you had, I don't know, 5 fingers of
Milk
egg
phosphate.
of the liquid, and you had two fingers of head, and the
No
head
eggs,
was
no cream.
the best part. If you knew how to make an egg cream, you always had this kind of foamy. It was interesting because it was bubbles from the gas, but then right under the bubbles was this, half an inch of foam. And somehow that foam would capture the flavor of whatever syrup you were using. Because you could make a chocolate egg cream, you could make a vanilla egg cream, or you could make a strawberry egg cream.
I'll take one of each.
I was a big vanilla fan. I loved vanilla egg creams. Tasted like kind of a very creamy cream soda.
You think they still
Very
make them the same way?
Yeah, made the same way. Just use vanilla syrup, And
No, I mean, do they make them the same way today in New York?
yeah, if you can find a place that makes them, yeah, you got to find a place. Yeah, you got to go to an old restaurant, old fountain place with a fountain, either a restaurant or a can. You know, some most of the candy stores when I was a kid had fountains.
Now, there used to be a radio station in New York called WPLJ, which was because call letters were because of port lime juice. Is that right?
I never knew what the PLJ letters stood for. Is
As I
that true?
understood it, there was a drink, I guess alcoholic drink, called port and lime juice.
I
Like port and
never
WPL. No, you
I
never
never
heard of
knew. Never heard that before.
that? Wow.
Sounds like a great story though.
It's a better story than what happened to Intercom Broadcasting.
Well,
What
everybody
what do they still own in Seattle? Do they still own the End or
yeah, I think they still own the end and was it KISW? Yeah, I think it's the end, KISW, and I don't think they own the mountain anymore.
that was
I
it,
think
the
they
Mountain?
spun that out to somebody else. And trying to think of there's another station in there somewhere. I forget what it is. Because
The Woodard.
they did a swap with Clear Channel, I guess. There's something where Clear Channel got an AM up here and the AM 1090 went to Clear Channel, and I forget what they swapped them for. I mean, it's also confusing, to be honest with you. But yeah, I think they have three or four stations. I forget.
I don't
Um,
know what's number one in LA anymore. I used to know. Probably Kiss.
yeah, I don't know what's number one up here. I think podcasts are number one. Well, no, I do know what's number one in talk, and that's um what do you call it? NPR.
Aha. KUOW.
KUOW, I believe, is the most listened to station in town. Followed close by Heavy Breathing. No, followed by the other uh, uh um Mikey, I can't. My mind is there's a foundation that took over one of the radio stations uh, that
There was
one of
Lutheran
the
University.
yeah, the PLU, I think, and they're doing a news talk, and they're pretty popular as well. I don't know where the old Como is as far as numbers. I don't think they're doing all that good. And Cairo may be number four, three, five, something like that. I mean, I don't even really look at the ratings that much anymore since I don't
It's
have to
funny.
live and die by it.
It's funny how the ratings don't make that much difference anymore.
Well, it doesn't because the whole thing is. I mean, it works. Makes it. I guess it makes a difference if you're working there and you got a bonus tied to it. But I the younger edge of our business They don't care about the ratings as much anymore. They want a station that they get what they need: news, music, and even music. Really, um, does anybody listen to radio for music anymore?
I listen here to KCSN from Northridge.
Yeah, uh, I just don't think that a lot of people up here listen. Everybody's listening to podcasts or listen to what's going on TikTok or again the I forget the call letters of the station, but I think it's crosscut media or something like that they call it. Uh, but those are the stations that really do well. Everybody else is kind of grasping around in the wind. The hot talk stations do okay.
Hate always sells something.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is. It's KTTH is does not great in
K
the
stands for
but
the call letters west of the Mississippi. TTA stands for too much talking about hate. Talk, hate.
well, hate sells. You know that, Michael. If we wanted to
Go
do
on
hate
down
talk,
go on down to Bernie's undercoating, and we'll set you up with a Trump flag, some undercoating, and another Trump flag.
if we wanted to do hate talk, we'd probably be making a lot of money in the major market. But I wouldn't do it. I can't do what I'm morally opposed to.
Now that sounds strangely un-American in these times, Vinnie.
I know, but that's the way the business has gone. So what do? You can either do what do that, or you can talk about cause.
I
I mean,
would
even
choose the
sports
car.
is about hate these days. I hate this team. I hate that team. I hate this guy. I hate that guy. Nobody calls up and rah-rahs their team anymore.
Have the sports talk stations turned on Pete Carroll yet?
Nah, not yet. Give it time. I'm sure uh, that they'll turn on it. Well, we'll see. Tomorrow night will be a big deal. You got another Thursday night game, second in a row.
Who you playing?
The Dallas Cowboys
I hate
in
them.
Dallas.
I'm gonna have an egg cream. Calm down, but I hate them anyway.
Yeah, I'm not a big Cowboys fan. I could, I mean, the coach of the team is a nice guy, which I mean, but that's not going to make me like the team. Um, McCarthy's a Pittsburgh guy, and he's one of those guys that worked his way up from high school, and hasn't forgotten that.
But look what Messi's in now. He's in Texas coaching the Cowboys. That's America's team. How can you coach America's team? They got their own coach.
I don't think they're America's team anymore. I
They
think
think they
Well,
are.
wasn't America's team New England?
Well, that's clearly not long for this world.
Yeah, I thought America's team was New England. Then Kansas City. Everybody seemed to love Kansas City for a long time.
Well, they're winning.
Um, Probably I mean, oddly enough, probably the Raiders have a chance to be America's team, right? Because everybody loves Las Vegas.
Hype and no show. That doesn't work in Vegas, by the way. If you're a hotel, you got to have hype and a show. Raiders are doing the hype. They got no show.
They got no show. But again, depends on you know. Now that Tom Brady's gone, it's a little less. It's a little less defined. I guess Mahomes is the darling. He's the guy with. I mean, then you got
He's the guy
you
with
got
the
Mahomes
rings.
who's a darling, and then you got Kelsey who's dating what's her name? Taylor
What happens?
Swift.
What happens to his career when they break up? Because Taylor goes through boyfriends, pretty regularly.
Yeah, I mean, I only dated her about a week, and she
But
just
she
dumped
got
me.
an album worth of she got an album worth of material out of your breakup.
She just called me and said, "Listen, I can't do it anymore." And I said,
It's
"Okay,
not working for me,
not
and I
working
really
for
don't
me
care if
either."
it's working for you.
And then I woke up from my fantasy. I don't know. Once you've had a crush on Leslie Gore, really nobody else can fill the gap.
I did not go through that stage of my life. Who did I have a crush on? Who did I have a crush on? Linda Ronstadt.
That's good pickings.
Uh,
That's a pretty good. I wonder how she's doing. I haven't seen anything, from her.
she's suffering from Parkinson's, and
Well,
but
yeah, I know she's got Parkinson's disease, but you used to see every few months there'd be like a newspaper article or something. But
well, she came to the conclusion that she couldn't sing anymore, which is not always the case, and
yeah,
so that pretty much shut down her willingness to go further with her career.
what a shame. I mean, what a talent. I mean, she could. There wasn't a song built that she couldn't sing.
She could sing anything, including
Yeah, I
the
mean
Pirates of Penzance
everything she touched, everything she sang
in
was
in any language.
yeah. I mean, her Spanish album that she did a number of years ago was spectacular. Anything she did, go from rock and roll to classics to standards.
There's a 16-year-old girl who could win The Voice this time. She sings country music like Patsy Cline. She sang a Linda Ronstadt song, Long, Long Time, that she did with the Stone Ponies,
Yeah,
and knocked it out of the park. This gal, she's 16 years old, named Ruby Lee, and God, has she got talent. What a huge monster. What a big voice, bigger than Linda Ronstadt.
wow, that's amazing. Because I mean, she just to me, she just always had just always one of the best voices
Always one of the
of
best.
yeah of anybody. Just had the chops and wasn't afraid to go out and sing any song.
Nope.
I don't think she ever met a song that she feared.
Including Gilbert and Sullivan. That was just quite a
Yeah,
turn in her career.
yeah. I mean, she could do it. She could do it all.
Well, Vinny, shall we meet again on a Freaky Friday? Although
I
these
think
days of
we
the week
should,
are
Michael. I think we have
starting to
no
lose their
alternative
importance.
but
We owe it
it's
to ourselves, and if anybody's watching, we owe it to you too.
well, we owe it to America.
The number U, I mean the letter U and the number 2.
Yeah, I think that in order to keep America great, we have to jump on the little internet box here and put a little show together.
Today we showed you how to make an egg cream. Not for nothing, but that's a talent that you could take. You could roll that into a career.
I should get. It's too bad I can't get. I used to be able to make the egg creams. I would get the bottles of seltzer.
You need that, yeah.
You need to. You can't make it with club soda. It
No,
has to be that.
it has to be a spritz.
Yeah, it's got to be a spritz. You got to be able to give it some oomph. It's
You
even
try
hard to make it with the Coke. Um, the Coke machine. It just press
right.
that one button, it just spits seltzer out.
No good.
Because a fountain, when you pull that fountain lever back,
The
it puts
seltzer is,
pressure.
that's right. It escapes. It doesn't come out. It just dribble out. It comes out.
Yeah, it comes out. And if you don't have that, I mean, you can regulate it with the spoon to give you
But you
as
don't
much
need
pressure.
this. But you don't
You
need
gotta
the
have
spoon if
the
it's coming from a
initial.
button. Yeah.
It's almost like you mix the ingredients with the spritz of
Oh
the
yeah.
fountain,
That's the idea. That's why you do it last.
right? Right, as opposed to just kind of let it sit there for it just the carbonation, whatever, just mixes everything together. So, all right, let's meet up on Friday morning if the Lord's willing. The creek don't rise, and I'll have a
You bring
really
your
cool car to tell you about too. I got a very cool car coming this upcoming week.
and where was it made? Do you think?
Oh, I know it was well. It, it's a Japanese car.
Okay. So it was made by a robot in Japan.
It might actually be built here. I'd have to check to see where they're building them. I think they're actually building them here, though.
Four
It's the
door
price you pay
SUV.
for it.
What do you got?
It is a sedan. It's a sedan, and it has.
It's a
And
sedan.
I'll give you one more clue. It has a stick shift.
Whoa. Unexpected. How many gears
No
forward?
automatic.
5 gears forward?
6 forward, I believe.
6. Now I have no idea what we were talking about. Now we're in another lane. Now we're in the passing lane.
I believe it's 6 gears forward, 1 back.
You don't need 2 back, do you?
Well, you could have a truck that might have 2 back. Some trucks have two gears in reverse. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I'm gonna have to find me a stretch of highway off the beaten path to play with it, but
Sounds like you're on your way to Utah.
I wish. It'd be nice to go to the Salt Flats for a weekend. I don't know why I couldn't go. I mean, why not? What else am I doing?
Cash in your CBS stock. It's 30 cents an issue now.
I think it went down to 15 while we were talking about it.
That would not surprise me.
And I'm sure. All right, Mikey. I'll see you on. I'll see you on Friday, man. Until then, brother. Peace, love, Manischewitz, baby.
What a wine. It's the wine to drink when the creek won't rise.
Yeah, when the creek don't go up, Manischewitz goes down.
There's a rule that America can live by. See you, Ben.
See you, Mikey.